Welcome back, everybody, to Out of Touch. I am your chipper and jovial and surprised host, Kai Schwemmer. I gotta say, once again, things keep happening, dude. This is the year of happening. The year of happening. And the cool thing about this show, and the fact that we've been doing it so consistently, is that I gotta update you guys. No, I'm not. I'm not muted. You're lying. I see the mic moving. I see the mic moving. Hold on. If you guys are lying, I'm going to flip out. Hold on. I swear, if you guys are lying, I'm going to kill you. Update you guys. Every single one of you, you're dead. You're dead. You're dead to me. Every single one of you, dead to me. 100% dead for... Genie? This is your fault. This is your fault, Genie. You rage baiters. All of you people. No words. No words. Yeah, I'm gonna kill y'all. I'm gonna kill you guys, dog. I should stop saying that. I should stop. In light of the situations that we've got that we've been covering lately, I'm going to avoid making even joking and totally obviously a joke threats of violence against nameless, faceless internet people, who I love, by the way, who I love. But, oh, great. Now we're losing frames. Oh, my goodness, Glorpus. I think we're fine. Yeah, okay. Anyway, welcome back. Yeah, this is the year of happening. This is the year of things happening. We're going to be going over a little bit of some of the aftermath of the issues that we covered just the other night. We are going to be discussing what occurred in Portland as a result, perhaps. We're not totally sure. It does seem to be an independent incident, independent of what happened in Minnesota and Minneapolis. Nonetheless, we'll be covering some of the ramifications, some of the protests across the country. And what just kind of as a quick word on this at the offset, there's a perfect case study of why the left sucks, of why Democrats, liberals, whatever you want to call them, simply cannot achieve political victories. And the case study comes out of nowhere but Salt Lake City, Utah. Yesterday, Salt Lake City, as a result of and in response to the shooting of Renee Good in Minneapolis by an ICE agent who she almost killed with her car, or could have seriously injured, had things, not gone better. She, in, this unfortunate series of events, was killed when the ICE agent fired three shots through the windshield of her car. And yeah, somebody in the chat said, it's bad when they're protesting in the winter. Yeah, honestly, we gotta thank our lucky stars that all of this is happening when it's like 20 degrees outside. If this had happened in Florida and people were protesting, dude, they're not going back inside, man. If this had happened in a more tropical climate, oof, doesn't end well. If this had happened in California or during the summer, it's over. Minneapolis is gone. I wouldn't be surprised if people just start torching buildings again just to heat themselves up. So maybe that's not even a good thing. But anyway, there's another situation that occurred literally just the next day. It was a shooting of a husband and wife, supposedly. This time it's not a wife and a wife. It's a husband and wife who the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, has claimed to have ties to Tren de Aragua, the gang. So this is what we'll be covering a little bit about. I'm going to be honest, we don't have a ton of information. I at least have not seen a lot of information about this case. But the aside that I was going to mention is that in the protests that have broken out now across the country, they made their way to Salt Lake because Salt Lake has one of the most activist populations ever. I mean, in the city that I grew up, in the suburb of Salt Lake that I grew up in, there are more trans flags than any other flag. And that's how you know that there is something rather particular about this place, because I think the trans flag embodies, I think, probably the most radical political movement that personified in a flag, or kind of not personified. It's a flag, but cast onto a flag. I think that the trans flag is probably the most radical. And I'm not just saying, they have the typical LGBT flag with the trans arrow in it. They have straight up just trans flags in this suburb. And you see more of these flags, obviously, than American flags, because nobody has any sense of national pride anymore. And if you're left-wing, you hate America, so why the flip would you fly the national flag? But you see it even more than like a Black Lives Matter flag or a gay pride flag. Like, that's usually what you would see, right? You would see the gay pride flag. Here in the suburb that I used to live, the trans flag is more common than the pride flag. And that kind of gives you a sense of the activist culture that exists where I live. Most people don't know this. Salt Lake City is the third most LGBT-friendly city in the country. And you wouldn't believe that, but Brigham Young warned us about this. He said, in the future, Salt Lake City would become one of the evil cities of the world. It would become a new Babylon. True. Vindicated. You're telling me he wasn't a prophet? Well, what do you think about that one, huh? Seems pretty prophetic to me, actually. So anyway, that's the situation. And the protests, of course, then reasonably and predictably made their way over to Salt Lake, where we had, by the way, a huge No Kings protest a couple months back. You guys remember the No Kings protests? The No Kings protest went so well that a leftist bodyguard fired 3 shots into a crowd of people attempting to kill a man who he thought was there to shoot the place up. Turns out that the guy that he shot was actually a leftist. So you get a situation in Salt Lake City, because it's such an activist culture, where a bodyguard sees a guy dressed in black with a gun, which is, by the way that Antifa dresses literally all the time, and shoots him to be safe, hits the guy, but then in firing a 3rd shot, ends up killing a bystander, ends up killing a civilian. So that's Utah for you. That's Utah for you guys. In a couple years ago, when we had the whole situation with Black Lives Matter, there was cop cars being overturned in front of the Utah State Capitol. There's graffiti all the time at the Utah State Capitol in Salt Lake City. It is becoming like a new Babylon. And what we saw yesterday, and I'm glad this was covered by some of my friends, Flat Ranger, what was his name? Flat Ranger Utah. I really want to get his name right, because this guy's a goat. I've met this guy in person. He's just a goat, dude. He's just the goat of all time. Yeah, Utah Flat Ranger. Utah Flat Ranger was there on the ground. He was covering it. Riley, Tyler. I don't know if Tyler was there. Riley from the UFCR, the Utah Federation of College Republicans. Total legends here. Total legends. They were on the ground. They were covering the protests. I was unfortunately too far away. They also probably would have killed me. Just as an aside, I was there counter-protesting their protest when Roe v. Wade got overturned, and they literally led an F. Kai Schwemmer chant. Literally, that was their chant, F. Kai Schwemmer. So, I'm a bit infamous in the region, and I've got ops in Salt Lake. Let me just say that. But anyway, they were there covering this protest. And what did they see? And this is exactly what makes the left just so unbearable to people. It is not enough to protest ICE. It's just not motivating enough, It doesn't really get you going all that much. So what do you have to do? You have to bring a flag with an X, or rather with like a prohibited sign, that the red circle with the slash through it. You have to have one of those Xing out the cross. You have to protest Christianity too. It is not enough. It is not enough for you to go to a protest that's topical and relevant because there was a shooting. No, you also have to have Antifa there waving like communist and socialist flags. And you also need people just protesting Christianity. And this is the problem of the left. The problem of the left is their framework, the way that they deal with politics. The intersectional framework of the left makes every single protest that you run into the most insufferable thing ever. And this is what I talk about. I've talked about this on numerous occasions now on podcasts and such. When you look at the way that the right and the left do their anti-Semitism, The right and the left do it totally different. The left does it violently. They throw firebombs. They light people on fire. They send bombs. They impede traffic. They take over campuses. They optically present themselves as terrorists. And then you look at the way the right does their anti-Semitism. What, we like ask people questions at their debate events? And I know maybe you can point out people like Jake Lang, who I think Jake Lang's super sus. He sends me stuff, but I think his stuff is retarded. I'll be honest. Throwing coins at people outside of AIPAC. This is a guy, it's like, this isn't he ethnic? I think he is ethnically Jewish. Like, what the flip are we switching up for, dude? You need a new grift? So anyway, just had to put my 2 cents in there, because that's an interesting predicament. But yeah, I mean, the right wing, when anti-Semitic, is not like the left, because we are fundamentally different. We respect life. We respect human dignity. We have a framework based not in intersectionality, not in liberation politics or theory, but rather in Christ. And this is it always comes back to this point. Because the left does not have that consistent ideological framework, not only do they often resort more to violence, but they also are incapable of addressing a single issue without making it an insufferable amalgamation of every single talking point that is popular in leftist circles in a given year or in a given week or month. When I was at UC Irvine and there was a pro-Palestine protest, and by the way, it's like on some of these issues, you can find some agreement. Like and again, I'm not saying you have to adopt socialist policies. You have to become a third worldist. It's this totally false dichotomy that people talk about. Totally false dichotomy. You don't have to become a third world Islamist or whatever people say now to agree with some people on the left that AIPAC, should have restrictions on it, that we reasonably expect to be put on different foreign lobbies, that Israeli interests be challenged more so than they currently are in our geopolitical posture or in the State Department. I mean, come on. It's like we can find some accord there, and we could even create some legislative good. This is not me saying you need to have an infinite blank check to everything that the left does. That would be stupid. And unfortunately, people, whenever you tell them that, whenever you say we can like compromise with people who agree with us on specific particular issues, they hear, oh, it's a blank check to be friends with people who want to kill you forever. That's not what I'm saying. Let me be clear. But at this UC Irvine pro-Palestine protest, it's not enough to be protesting in favor of Palestine, to be protesting Zionist occupation. What you also need to have is a Black Lives Matter flag. Now, what the flip does Black Lives Matter have to do with what the freak is happening in Gaza? To any normal person, you're going to pop up at that event and you're going to say, okay, now why is there, and it gets even confusing, why do you have a trans flag at an event in support of a Muslim state? You think Palestine's going to end up secular? You think they're going to end up like Tel Aviv, the most gay city in the world? No, they're not. Charlie Kirk was right about several things, and one of those things was that in Muslim countries, they throw gay people off of buildings. They have no way, the left has no way of compartmentalizing or separating their aims. And this is what we talk about again. If you look at the policy proposals that they bring up, none of them make any sense. There's zero cohesion. None of it is connected. And this is why you have, on occasion, the rare honest left-wing politician like Bernie Sanders, who in the past has advocated for immigration restriction, or who has gone on podcasts just within the last year saying, yeah, the Biden admin actually wasn't very good about the border. But what happens? He gets flamed for it because he's seen as playing to the right. What I think Bernie Sanders, and admittedly he's now rejected some of these talking points, but what I think Bernie Sanders was at least honest enough to recognize decades ago was that you can't support these wide sweeping economic reforms that raise the minimum wage, that provide, more subsidies to certain industries, healthcare, unemployment benefits. You can't do all of those things while allowing for mass migration of low skill, low wage laborers. You simply can't do both of these things. So he is one of the few that was able to call that out. And unfortunately, he's gone the way of the dodo now on a lot of those issues and is adopting the framework of the left, which is intersectionality. Intersectional theory means being an ally. It means that no matter what is happening, it has to be one struggle with every other marginalized community. And that's just an awful way of doing politics. That's why I think the left fundamentally is so unpopular. I think if I could trace it back to a particular thing, it's that they have made that their framework for engaging with politics. That is their lens of analysis. They view everything through that lens, which means that their policies are not, they have no cohesion. Like I said before, they'll pass one policy and they'll support another, and the two are completely in contradiction. And they'll protest one thing, like the Zionist occupation of Gaza or of the West Bank, and then at the same time, they'll, at that very same protest, be in favor of gay rights. Well, tell that to all the Palestinians, dude. I'm sorry, gay rights are not like the #1 voting issue down there. And in a Palestinian state, they wouldn't be either. So, yeah, that's just kind of a little go-off moment. But that is what makes the left so insufferable to people. If you're just a bystander, and I imagine this happens with people, maybe not in Salt Lake, but I imagine, there's plenty of people who are moderate, they think themselves, these omni-liberals, they think themselves these smart, intelligent, well-rounded people. And they maybe these are your typical, I am socially progressive, but fiscally conservative. Maybe it's those kind of people who say, well, I actually do think that what the ICE officer did in Minneapolis is abhorrent, and I think Trump is actually abusing his power as the executive. And I'm going to go to this protest. And then they show up at that protest, and what do they see? They see people flying the hammer and sickle. They see people flying an X'd out cross. And they ask themselves, what the flip am I doing here with all these freaks? What the flip am I doing here? I don't support the rest of this. I'm here about a woman who got shot. And we can have different opinions about that, but I think there's plenty of people who are there because they're, they saw it as upsetting. And, sure, the video is upsetting. It's upsetting to see a woman die in her car, see the car continue driving forward. That sucks. It didn't have to happen. If nobody was impeding law enforcement, it wouldn't have had to happen. And that's, again, the angle. I know a lot of people didn't understand my point. I know a lot of people tried to be the most red-pilled person in the room by telling me for the billionth time that I don't care about intent. Yeah, well, if you don't care about intent, then you don't have to frame her intent disingenuously. Anyway, that's just something that bothers me. Papa Clutch, by the way, it makes a good point. Like Dave Smith, I think that's a good point. Dave Smith does a little bit the same thing. And this is where you get into, some of the Trumpian perspective, like on this foreign policy issue of Venezuela. I think it's much more cohesive. It makes a lot more sense. It's a lot more difficult to determine what a left-wing president is going to do because the way they do politics just isn't cohesive. It doesn't make much sense. Whereas you have the right wing, which is just like, hey, sorry you guys got confused, but we're actually not isolationists. This is not the party of Ayn Rand and Thomas Massey. It just isn't. He might represent, in certain issues, a rising portion or part of the right wing, but he's not at all the majority. This is not the party of foreign isolationism, bucko. And maybe it's the party of no new party of isolationism and complete withdrawal from the world stage. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit about what's going on. There was a new video that came out, obviously, showing the officer's angle. We'll dive into that. We'll talk, maybe if we have time, a little bit about Trump's recent statements. We're going to talk about some of the specifics regarding ICE, regarding the law, regarding how this is or is not justifiable. We'll talk about deportations. And next week, we're going to be doing more debates at the University of Utah, Monday and Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, the 13th and the 14th. Do you have my dates right there? Or maybe it's the 12th and 13th. Let me double check this. It's on, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, go to Reawaken America. I think on Instagram, on YouTube, wherever you guys want to go to Reawaken America or Reawaken USA. And yeah, the 12th and the 13th. So Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to be down there up there at the University of Utah again. We'll be doing debates. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you want the best shot of seeing me there, you should definitely go on the 13th. I've got class on Monday the 12th, and I'm only going to have about an hour up at the campus. So on the 13th, you're going to have a much better shot of seeing me between the hours of, let's say, 9 and 11. No, 9 and 12. I think. Yeah, 9 and 12. Something like that. Or maybe even later. So anyway, that would be the best time to show up. And we actually already met some Kai Clippers, some very handsome Venezolanos. Okay, I'm going to be honest. They're growing on me. If you guys come up and you end up being Venezuelan and you end up being like super based and epic and cool, maybe you're going to win me over on this whole thing. And we asked the gentleman, we said, hey, well, what do you guys as Venezuelans, what do you think about the overthrowing of Maduro? And they said, dude, it's freaking awesome. That seems to universally be the case. It seems to be consensus. But anyway, hold on. Let me, everybody be sure to repost the stream. I forgot to repost it on one spot. So we're going to send that out so that everybody can see it. Everybody can view it. Be sure to share this stream. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Get them to love Kai. And if you guys do want to support the stream, you can do so, of course, as always, on powerchat.live/kaiclips. And let's tweet out real quick right here. We are live addressing the fallout of the Minneapolis shooting. Tune in now. On YouTube and Rumble. Ooh, and one more thing, guys. You guys got to see something epic. You guys got to see something epic. You know what I got? Thanks again to my buddy Riley. Ayo, Clark Kent check? Ayo, Clark Kent check, though? Hold on. And check this out. I just took a photo of all of you pretty people, and there's nothing you can do about it because I took it with my glasses. And you didn't even realize. So I kind of really want to, do some IRL content. But what kind of IRL content should I do? For those who don't know, these are the Meta glasses. That's why I was able to take a photo with them. But what kind of content should I even do? I'm like, I kind of want to use them driving. I kind of want to use them to drive. Because it's a problem when I'm like filming from my phone. You can get pulled over for that. But if I'm going hands-free with the glasses, we could do late night driving glasses streams. Oh, dude, that would be so cool. And then I also want to do I want to get some protests on video and whatnot, do some of this like man of the street type content. It is the age of content. 2026 is the year of Kai Schwimmer. And when I put the glasses on, people might not recognize me. They might think, hey, is that Kai Kent? Is that Kai Kent right there? And then I take them off and they're like, oh, no, that's Kai Clips. He had us fooled. He had us tricked. We thought because of his wavy, luscious locks and his glasses that he was a liberal. And maybe I'll wear like a Death Grips t-shirt or something, or I'll wear like a Depeche Mode shirt and they're going to think I'm even more liberal. Yeah. Till some maniac tries to run me off the road. Yeah, that'd be content, though. That would totally be content. You guys have no idea how badly I wanted to have these glasses when I got assaulted signature gathering. Dude, that would have been so flipping based. If I could have caught that liberal crashing out on me, like ripped the freaking clipboard from my hands, threw it 20 feet, took the lanyard from around my neck. Crazy, dude. Like, what is this guy's problem, big guy? We're talking about redistricting. We're not talking about taking away your right to vote. We're talking about redistricting. This doesn't even change anything right now. Chill the flip out, guy. Typical liberal situation. Some of you guys don't know the lore about that, but anyway, so that's the situation. The audio is not dog water. They're actually really good. I'm gonna be honest, I'm impressed with these. And I've been wearing them around the house because they have speakers. Dude, the Meta glasses, they have these speakers. I don't even know how it works, dude, but you can hear. I don't even know where the speakers are. Now that I look at this thing. Oh, I guess they're probably right. Yeah, they're right on the bridge. Like right as it goes around your ears. Yeah, that's definitely where they are. Anyway, they have these speakers where you'll be listening to music on your glasses and nobody around you can hear. It's the most goated thing ever. I put these on the other night and I just started listening to the Cyberpunk soundtrack because I felt like I was in 2070. Oh, the frames again. Yeah, don't drop those frames. That's a good point. But anyway, hey, thank you guys for being here. Let's jump into it. Let's read about this occurrence. We're going to read from the Associated Press. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. And actually, I think we have a newer, we've got a newer report here. Yeah, this is a newer report by KATU 2 ABC, which is a local Portland news agency. We'll read from them. And here is what it says. It says, a U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent shot and wounded 2 people. You know, I should read this with my glasses on. I'm going to read this with my glasses on because it's going to make me look more like a journalist. Dude, I love this. I actually love this so much. And be sure be sure to tell me after the show. Do I look sexy doing that? Nah, it's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke. I'm being silly. Be sure to tell me after the show what kind of content you want to see with the glasses. I'm thinking driving, lifting, and then IRL on the street content. All right, guys, let's read this. Hey, it's Kai Kent. It's journalist Kai Kent here. Let's do some reading. A U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent shot and wounded 2 people in the city of Portland on Thursday afternoon. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security said the shooting was in self-defense when the driver of a vehicle that the agents had pulled over tried to run them over. Clark Clips. I like that. Clark Clips. In a post on X, DHS said the passenger in the vehicle was from Venezuela and illegally in the United States, and was believed to be affiliated with the transnational Tren de Aragua prostitution ring. DHS said the person had also been involved in a shooting in Portland. When agents identified themselves to the vehicle's occupants, the driver weaponized his vehicle and attempted to run over the law enforcement agents. Fearing for his life and safety, an agent fired a defensive shot. The driver drove off with the passenger, fleeing the scene, DHS said. On Friday morning, DHS identified the husband and wife shot as Luis David Nico Moncada and, holy moly, that's a name, Yorlenis? That's a crazy name. Yorlenis Betsabeth Zambrano Contreras. That's crazy. Say that 5 times fast. The FBI said it is investigating the shooting. And then this is the tweet from Homeland Security. It says, at 2:19 PST, U.S. Border Patrol agents were conducting a targeted vehicle stop in Portland, Oregon. The passenger of the vehicle and target is a Venezuelan illegal alien affiliated with the transnational Tren de Aragua prostitution ring, involved in a recent shooting in Portland. The vehicle driver is believed to be a member of the vicious Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. When agents identified themselves to the vehicle's occupants, the driver weaponized his vehicle and attempted to run over the law enforcement agents. Fearing for his life and safety, an agent fired a defensive shot. The driver drove off with the passenger, fleeing the scene. The situation is evolving and is forthcoming. So anyway, that's our situation. It says the shooting happened outside the Adventist Healthcare Clinic near Southeast Main Street at around 2:20 p.m. The 2 wounded people drove more than 2.5 miles to Northeast 146th Avenue and East Burnside, where they were found and taken to the hospital. Portland police said their officers were called to the area of the clinic, where they confirmed federal agents were involved in a shooting. They said they were not involved in the shooting. Is it just me, or is all the reporting on this interesting? Portland police said their officers were called... Oh, the officers were not involved in the shooting. I was really... Well... Here's how it reads. Portland police said their officers were called to the area of the clinic where they confirmed federal agents were involved in a shooting. They said they were not involved in the shooting. I'm imagining the Portland police. I think that's kind of poorly written. I might be crazy there. Anyway, the condition of the 2 people who were shot wasn't immediately known, but Portland City Council President Elena Pertligini, said as far... Dude, these names are killing me today. As far as she knew, they were still alive. Portland police said at 2:24 p.m. they had learned that a man who had been shot had called to request help near Northeast 146th Avenue and East Burnside. Arriving officers found a man and a woman wounded from apparent gunshot wounds. Police confirmed federal agents were involved. The 2 people were wounded and taken to the hospital. Residents in the area told Katu that a red Toyota truck was driven to an apartment complex. The man at the scene said he saw the wounded man stopped in the truck, who then got out and was bleeding. FBI agents were seen collecting evidence from the scene. At about 6:35, a tow truck towed the truck away, and all law enforcement left the area. At the clinic where the shooting happened, FBI agents focused on a black Hyundai parked in the clinic's parking lot. Both front doors of the car were open, and it had front end damage. It was not known Thursday night how the vehicle or its occupants were connected to the shooting. FBI agents had mostly cleared the scene by 10:20. And this is now the response from the Portland mayor, if I'm not mistaken. The shooting in Portland came a day after Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents shot and killed a woman in Minneapolis, rattling city leaders in Portland. Which, first of all, doesn't make any sense. This happens in Minneapolis, and Portland, Oregon's got to make itself a big part of the story now. Guess they aren't getting enough attention. They haven't had any Antifa terror attacks in the news lately. In a statement shortly after the shooting was confirmed, Mayor Keith Wilson called on the Trump administration to end immigration and customs enforcement operations in the city until an independent investigation into the shooting could be completed. He restated the demand in a news conference flanked by other city leaders, city councilors, Multnomah County commissioners, the county sheriff, the city police chief, state lawmakers, faith leaders, and the governor of the state. When the Trump administration talks about using full force, we are seeing what it means on our streets. The consequences are not abstract. They are felt in hospital rooms and living rooms, in the quiet moments when the families try to make sense of what happened and what is happening. Wilson said, "We know what the federal government said happened here. There was a time when we could take them at their word. That time has long passed." Crazy, crazy comment. I'm going to take a drink of water. I'm going to try and digest this, guys. It says Oregon Gov. Tina Kotek echoed the sentiment that the trust between the federal government and local leaders had been broken. She also called for an independent investigation. "The priority right now is a full, completed investigation, not more detentions," Kotek said. "My message to the federal government is this. We demand transparency. We demand your cooperation with Portland Police and the Multnomah County DA because we need to investigate this incident efficiently and effectively so we can rebuild trust with our nation's government." During that news conference, a large group of people gathered outside City Hall to protest the shooting. Portland City Councilor Samir Kanal voiced expressed his frustration and anger. His sentiment echoed Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey's criticism of ICE when one of its agents killed a 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good in the city on Wednesday. Frey told ICE to get the F out of his city. "You are hearing and you are seeing attempts to justify the unjustifiable, to completely defend the indefensible from our federal government," Kanal told the people gathered around or outside Portland City Hall. "It's unacceptable. We're going to stand against it. We see through your BS." He said his thoughts were with those in hospitals and in detention, and he said he stood in solidarity with Good's love, with family and loved ones, as well as with the Minneapolis community. Oregon Republican responds. In a statement, State Senator Christine Drazen, a Republican from Canby who is running for governor this year to challenge Democrat Kotek, accused the state's political leaders of rushing to judgment and treating dangerous criminals like victims. "I want law enforcement to arrest transnational Trende Aragua gang members and take them off our streets, end human trafficking and make our community safer," she said. "An investigation is underway. That investigation will determine whether today's use of force was warranted. The last thing we need in a moment like this is a bunch of grandstanding politicians exploiting the situation and inciting fear to advance their own political agendas." And we'll just wrap up with this. Sorry, local leaders, we're federalists. Based comment. Late Thursday night, a large group of people gathered at the ICE facility in South Portland. The facility has been the site of protest against ICE activities since last June. So anyway, there you go. There's protests in Portland. The mayor, the governor, everybody has gone out and made statements about something that we truly don't know the details about. And I think this is part of the problem, right? The comments made by the mayor are ridiculous. The comments made by the mayor are that we can no longer trust the federal government at all. And not just that, but we would prefer you stop enforcing the laws. Now, let's be clear about something. ICE and Border Patrol and immigration enforcement is just as legitimate as any other kind of law enforcement, because immigration concerns law. We have laws concerning immigration. We have U.S. code that concerns illegal entry, that concerns re-entry, that concerns failing to notify the U.S. federal government of your illegal status or your change of residency. We have laws on the books about marriage fraud in order to have an expedited process of immigration to the United States, which can carry a fine of $250,000. We have laws on the books about all of these things. And in the status quo, what is the result? When an illegal alien is found, they are put in the removal proceedings. And I'll be honest, this is something that the right wing actually has to improve on. And there's two ways. There's two ways we go about doing this. One of them is we put them in expedited removal. They don't have the same right to due process as ruled by the Supreme Court, which means we can get them out of the country much quicker. And that's what we should do with everybody who has crossed the border in the last 2 years. That's number one. Number two is we actually do have to adopt some of the messaging of the left and become politically pragmatic about these issues. What should we do? We should encourage right-wing people to go into immigration law. They should become immigration judges. We need more judges in the immigration courts. And we need those judges because there are plenty of people who have been placed who have removal orders or who are pending hearings for their own removal. And these people just disappear into the interior of the United States. They don't pay a fine, and then they don't go to court. And that's a huge problem. That is a huge problem. What we need are, yes, more judges. We need more judges in our immigration court system. And if we had that, it would not, I think a lot of people hear that and they hear, oh, well, it's going to be a quicker pathway to citizenship. It doesn't have to be. You know, the judges can make rulings. And if the precedent that we set is like, look, you know, we're just going to make these like removal proceedings really quick. We're just going to send people like this back to their home countries. I think that's better for everybody. It is more humane because you don't allow people to set roots up here in the United States. I think you want to talk about cruelty. You want to talk about something that's really bad. It's doing this, the temporary protected status. If you give people temporary protected status, what are you telling them? You're telling them, okay, we're going to let you live. We're going to let you put roots down here in the United States. We are going to let you settle down, have a job. In some states, have a driver's license or a driver permit card, driver privilege card. We're going to allow you to set your roots in the United States of America, to do a job, to work, to even go to school. We're going to allow you to do all those things. And then maybe in 10 years, we'll get to your case. And maybe in 10 years, there's a possibility that you have to go back to your home country. That's immoral. That's bad. It is bad to give people this false sense of hope that they can stay in America forever. And it is also bad to have such a backup in our immigration proceedings to the point where we are not even able to go through and do the paperwork, to go through and actually bring these people through the system, take them through their court appearances, go through the proceedings, and actually then in a timely fashion send them back to their countries. It is also immoral to have such a large backlog, right? So again, I said this on the show yesterday, and I said this on a different podcast. Remember who is at fault. Remember who has created the situation that we are now in. If I'm not mistaken, it has never not been the case that the response to somebody immigrating here illegally is putting them then in proceedings for removal. That is the status quo. And we seem to, have always understood that. You can't skip the line. You cannot get here illegally. And frankly, the United States of America is very nice. Leftists are right to point this out. Leftists are right to point out, well, but which, and they always do, they do the smug Reddit look. They do I'm doing that pretty good though. Hey, I actually do that pretty good. Maybe I'm a Redditor. They do that smug look, and then you know what they tell you? So, well, which felony have they committed? And you don't have to, just tell them, look, you want me to read the U.S. Code? Let's do it. Let's read the U.S. Code. Let's read the U.S. Code. Let us literally read the U.S. Code. Okay. Here is the U.S. Code. 8 U.S. Code 1325, improper entry by alien. And we are admittedly lenient in the initial crime that we are charging them with, right? Here it is. Any alien who 1, enters or attempts to enter the United States at any time or place other than as designated by immigration officers, or 2, eludes examination or inspection by immigration officers, or 3, attempts to enter or obtains entry to the United States by a willfully false or misleading representation or the willful concealment of material fact, shall, for the first commission of any such offense, be fined under Title 18 or imprisoned not more than 6 months, or both, and for subsequent commission of any such offense, be fined under Title 18 or imprisoned not more than 2 years, or both. That's the status quo. That is the status quo. Now here is the here's the next portion. Any alien who is apprehended while entering or attempting to enter the United States at a time or place other than as designated by immigration officers shall be subject to a civil penalty of at least $50 and not more than $250 for each such entry or attempted entry, or twice the amount specified in paragraph 1 in the case of an alien who has been previously subject to a civil penalty under this subsection. Civil penalties under this subsection are in addition to and not in lieu of any criminal or other civil penalties that may be imposed. C. Marriage fraud. And any individual who knowingly enters into a marriage, looking at you, Ilhan Omar, for the purpose of evading any provision of the immigration laws shall be imprisoned for not more than 5 years or fined not more than $250,000 or both. Immigration-related entrepreneurship fraud. Any individual who knowingly establishes a commercial enterprise for the purpose of evading any provision of the immigration laws shall be imprisoned for not more than 5 years, fined in accordance with Title 18 or both. Now, here's the thing. What happens after that? Because I know it's not said here, but what is the status quo? What is what we have done when somebody illegally enters the country after they have paid their fine, after they've been put through, the civil penalty here? Well, what is the penalty? What is the consequence? Well, they're put in removal proceedings. You don't just get to say, okay, sorry guys, you caught me. Here's $2,500. Now can I be part of the country? That's not how that works. And I know we've allowed a lot of excuses. We've given this temporary protected status. We allow them then at that point of the immigration process to apply for asylum, to come as refugees. There's tons of things that we have done to make the deportation of these individuals more difficult. This is largely under the Biden administration. Part of the way you know that, by the way, is that the number of detentions and extraditions of ICE during the Biden admin were far, far fewer than those during the Trump admin. And here's the issue. That is a problem. Like, I don't know what I have to do to communicate to people properly the fact that these are laws. The fact that, again, you cannot be a moral and a righteous and a just nation if you don't enforce your laws. And so I'm kind of over this whole idea of, we have an election cycle and the new president just doesn't care about enforcing our laws. I don't believe in that. What if you had a president? Okay, we have a new president elected. You know what he's going to do? Well, he's just going to not really care that much about manslaughter. We've got a new president. He's just, he's not all that big on prosecuting rape. He's actually, we're not going to go out of our way to have the police do their jobs. And this is funny because this literally is the platform of the Democratic Party, defunding the police, cutting down police resources, effectively forcing people out of that job because it's either suicide because your face is going to get doxxed if you ever say the wrong thing in your body cam footage. And people are saying that, right? People are framing, by the way, this new video of Renee Good with the ICE agent. They're saying, well, look, Renee's last words to the officer were, "I don't hate you." Well, that was kind of after she almost ran over him. Or no, it was before. Sorry. Freudian slip. That was before she almost ran over him. I don't really care what she says before she almost runs over you. That's the part, the ICE officer wasn't shooting her when she said, "I don't hate you." He was recording. He was filming. And then you have a lot of people, it literally is nitpicking about any single detail that they can find. Then you have people saying, well, why did the officer have a phone in his hand? Doesn't that show that he was not out to like murder her? He's there filming, he's grabbing their license plates, he's documenting, and then her wife yells, drive, drive! And he's still in front of the car. And this is, by the way, another thing that we'll address in just a second, because I know that's another thing people will mention. So he's still in front of the car, and she starts driving. And he's surprised by it. He's like, whoa! You can hear it in the video. Nonetheless, how is it framed? Well, she said that, well, I don't hate you. I love you. Or something like that. Something to that effect. And this is this is what is frequently now being cited. Frequently being cited is this, and this is coming up on Reddit and whatnot. This is, and let me actually read it from the DOJ. The DOJ, I was reading this earlier today. The use of force policy. This is important because this is kind of when we get into, how justifiable, how legal is it? I think something, by the way, can be justifiable without being legal. I currently believe this was lawful but awful. That's kind of my current take. But it could come out that it is illegal, but still justifiable. That's also a thing. Because I don't think cops should ever, I don't think he did, and I don't think they should ever say, okay, well, what is the most I can do? Like, what is the legal extent of how much violence I'm able to commit? But here it is. Here's the DOJ use of force policy. It's asking me if I'm a robot. You really think a robot is trying to read all that, big guy? Okay, here it is. Law enforcement officers and correctional officers of the Department of Justice may use deadly force only when necessary. That is, when the officer has a reasonable belief that the subject of such force poses an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to the officer or to another person. And I will, by the way, preface this by saying this is what's going to be debated. They are absolutely going to have the FBI investigate this, and you're going to have court proceedings, and you're going to have an analysis of reasonable force, right? Where they take a reasonable law enforcement officer, an LEO, and they put him in the position that the ICE agent was in, and they say, look, and the cool thing, by the way, about this is that they don't look at a totality of the evidences. They don't look at everything, in hindsight. They examine the situation as if a reasonable officer was exactly where the ICE agent was. And then that reasonable officer and the court are going to have to decide if there was enough valid concern or impression that it was a threat for the shot to be good, for the shot to be justifiable or legal. So let's keep reading. It says deadly force, deadly force may not be used solely to prevent the escape of a fleeing suspect. And I think it's clear that this does not apply in the case of the shooting in Minnesota. It doesn't appear that he is just trying to stop her from fleeing. Unless he knows immediately that she's dead, the car continues moving and he stops firing. So I don't think it was just to stop her from fleeing. B, fire, and this is the one that people are citing. And this is, honestly, I'll admit it, I'll be honest. This is going to be interpretable. The jury's going to have to decide on this. And we'll see what they decide. It says, firearms may not be discharged solely to disable moving vehicles. Specifically, firearms may not be discharged at a moving vehicle unless 1, a person in the vehicle is threatening the officer or another person with deadly force by means other than the vehicle, and that's where a lot of people stop. Or 2, the vehicle is operated in a manner that threatens to cause death or serious physical injury to the officer or others, and no other objectively reasonable means of defense appear to exist, which includes moving out of the path of the vehicle. If it ends up being the case, if it ends up being proven that the officer is hit by the car before he shoots, I think you have a very clear case to be made that the motor vehicle is being operated in a way which threatens to cause death or serious physical injury to the officer or others. Serious physical injury, by the way, can include just causing a great deal of pain. It doesn't have to require maiming the body beyond recognition. It could be causing, disability. It could be, a whole variety of things. And it is confirmed now, or at least it seems confirmed, that this same officer in the past had been dragged by a car that required over 30 stitches in the aftermath. So, maybe there is a little bit of trauma there. I don't at all think that's unreasonable. I don't know if they're going to take that into account. I doubt they will, because it's, from the reasonable officer's perspective, a different one. Nonetheless, I think there's a reasonable case, and if it is determined that the car hits him before he shoots or before he draws, it seems to be easy to argue that the way the vehicle is being operated threatens to cause death, or at least serious physical injury. I think that's an easy argument to make. I don't think the burden of proof is super high on that. What I'll add, it doesn't help the case of the prosecution that Renee's wife is yelling, "Drive, drive," while the officer is in front of the car. And from what we see of the angle of the video, the officer has no way of understanding the trajectory of the vehicle at the time that he takes the shots. But we don't know. It's an interesting case, right? And the officer shoots actually from the side of the car. I think it's the passenger side that gets hit. So this is another interesting element here where you could say, well, the officer's out of harm's way when he fires. It's going to be a heck of a thing to litigate. I really think it is. But nonetheless, I think it's a pretty reasonable case to make that this was a justifiable use of force. And it says, firearms, and this is important, firearms may not be discharged from a moving vehicle except in exigent circumstances. In these situations, an officer must have an articulable reason for this use of deadly force. So, obviously, they're not firing from a vehicle, so it doesn't really apply. That's important. There we go. Boom. Beautiful. That's what we're going to be deciding about. That's what the jury's going to be out about. And the correct take about all of these situations is we just want an investigation. Like I said, oversight over the police, oversight over law enforcement is not a problem. But what is a problem is that you have a significant portion of the country who somehow believes that it is not a crime to obstruct police officers and officers of the law when they do their jobs. And that is a crime. Let's go to the legal analysis on that. Here we go. This is the immigration, or hold on, wrong thing. This is, where are we? 18 USC 111, assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers or employees. Here we go. Assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers or employees, in general, whoever forcibly assaults, resists, opposes, impedes, intimidates, or interferes with any person designated in Section 1114 of this title while engaged in or on account of the performance of official duties, or forcibly assaults or intimidates any person who formerly served as a person designated in Section 1114 on account of the performance of official duties during such person's term of service, shall, where the acts in violation of this section constitute only simple assault, be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 1 year, or both, and in all other cases be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years, or both. Enhanced penalty. Whoever in the commission of any acts described in subsection A uses a deadly or dangerous weapon or inflicts bodily injury shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both. There you go. Sorry, guys. I understand. And by the way, there's an amendment on this, which says whoever forcibly assaults, resists, opposes, impedes, resists, by the way, resists, opposes, impedes. These are 3 words that pretty much implicate every single protester against ICE. Impeding, resisting, or opposing. intimidating or interferes with any person designated in section 1114 of this title while engaged in or on account of the performance of his official duties shall be fined not more than $5,000 or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. Whoever in the commission of any such act. Hold on, where do we go? I just lost it. Here it is. Whoever in the commission of any such acts uses a deadly or dangerous weapon shall be fined not more than $10,000 or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both. So there you go. There's the law. There's the law. It is illegal. Sorry, you don't get to do that. You do not get to do that. We are a country of laws, and you would never in a billion years say that the cops just need to leave your city. Hey, police! And I suppose this is what they literally did say in 2021. But why would you ever say, hey, cops, we don't want you doing your job. You're making us feel less safe. You sound like an insane person. You should be arrested. And unfortunately, there exists some kind of double standard where we forget that immigration law is a thing. Where we forget that the executive, which oversees the immigration issues in the nation, the executive has ordered that ICE go out and do their jobs and enforce the law. So I don't know. This is a whole thing, a whole mess. Give me a quick second to have a drink of water here. All right. So anyway, that's our case. That's our situation. And it really is just a ridiculous thing because then you have the governors. You have the mayors who are literally saying, we don't want the police, we don't want the enforcement mechanism of the laws that we already have at a federal level on the books. We don't want them here. We just don't want them here. We don't trust what the government says. And then you have Tim Walz, who's even saying we're going to mobilize the National Guard. And what I hate is that you have this case in Portland where the left is already saying we don't want any more ICE agents. They don't even know if these two people are innocent. The DHS has said that they are suspected to be affiliates or associated with Tren de Aragua, with the prostitution gang. And if that is the case, why don't you want those guys there being arrested by ICE agents? Why don't you want the ICE agents there doing their jobs? But rather than wait, and this is the crazy thing, rather than wait for the investigation, they've come out outright and they've said, we just don't want ICE here. It's like, sorry, dude, we're not going to suspend law enforcement because a police officer made a bad shot. Police officers make mistakes. They make bad shots. They go to court. There's a jury. It's analyzed. The situation is seen. And if the cop truly did break a law, if he was outside of a reasonable use of force, if he is doing things that are unacceptable, he is going to have his job removed from him. He's going to have his immunities removed. He will lose his job. He will be suspended. And boom, that's the way the law works. But you don't just suspend law enforcement in your country because there are cases that maybe could go either way. You don't get to do that. You don't have a country when you do that. And it is so true that the place we're at now, we've arrived here because there is a significant subsect of the U.S. population that are just used to getting away with everything. They are just used to getting everything they want, and they think that they can just go and break laws. And the reason this is dangerous, or the reason it's gotten as dangerous, is because you have Jacob Frey and Tim Walz basically saying, that it is your civic duty to oppose ICE. It is your civic duty to oppose these people when they come here because the state of Minnesota is taking a stand against ICE, is taking a stand against Trump and fascism. This is only going to get worse. It really is just the thing that I was saying 2 days ago, but this is really only going to get worse because what these Democratic governors are doing is they're legitimizing crime. They are not only, first of all, harboring criminals, which is a total crime, They're harboring criminals who have illegally entered the country. Second, they are encouraging the protest. And let's go back to that language, the language that we just read, which is what makes, by the way, what classifies, this crime being committed under USC 111, 18 USC 111, assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers or employees. What does it say here? Resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, or interfering. You're encouraging that. You're encouraging the opposition. You're encouraging impeding. You're encouraging interfering with law enforcement officers, either police or ICE, whatever it is, SWAT. I don't care what it is. You impede them. You commit a crime, but these Democratic governors are encouraging you to do it, and they're telling you that you are part of the good guy club when you do so. That's a huge problem. That is going to create a schism in the United States of America that is unacceptable. And so really, what you have to have is you do have to have just this rampant, and I agree, Trump says, we need full force. What we need is a large-scale takeover. We need large-scale takeover of these streets by police officers, because right now they're outnumbered and they're getting beat and they're getting whooped. And by the way, things get a lot worse, in my opinion, when the police are outnumbered. When these protests happen, when they take off, if the police are outnumbered, the amount of violence that occurs is really bad. And this is not just from the angle of the protesters. I think the police are put in a more threatened situation. They feel physically more threatened when there are way more protesters than there are police officers. And what we need, honestly, I'm not saying lock these guys up in jail forever, but start handcuffing these guys, put them in the county jailhouse, and give them a $5,000 fine. Make it hurt their wallets at least. Remind them that we have laws. They need to understand that what they're doing is illegal. You cannot just impede the officers of the law doing their job. You can't do that. People need to realize that that is a law that we have on the books. And when they do that, they should receive a $5,000 fine. I think that's totally reasonable. I don't think you have to throw everybody in jail for 1 billion years. I don't think you have to do that. Just remind them, hey, sorry you guys got some kind of memo. Sorry that your governor, your mayor was telling you that you can do whatever you want whenever. That actually is not the case, and we're going to give you a reminder that's going to hurt the wallet a little bit. I don't think that's cruel. I think it is actually just. I think it is the bare minimum we could do, and I think it exercises a lot of constraint and mercy. So anyway, yeah. Why is Brigham Young in the chat telling me to disavow Joseph Smith and Brigham Young? I'm never going to disavow Brigham Young and Joseph Smith. What? Brigham, Brother Brigham, why would you say that? I'm loyal to the brethren. Anyway, that's a little bit of a go off. Guys, it's already pretty late. We've already been going for an hour and a half. I think we'll just jump into the super chats. Yeah, let's just jump into the super chats, and then maybe something else will happen. The whole thing with Trump is that he seems to be doubling down on the attempts to establish more U.S. control in the region. He's talking about going after Greenland, but the rhetoric that he is using is basically saying that what we want is to get Greenland before Russia or China does, and I think that's totally legit. Admittedly, I don't think that Russia's going to be doing anything with Greenland until they have their situation with Ukraine sorted out, but we'll see what happens. I think, though, optically, a militaristic seizure of Greenland is going to be a lot worse than what happened in Venezuela, which is pretty easy to substantiate or to explain the importance of. I mean, there was literally an indictment out. There's literally an indictment out since, 2021 for the arrest of Maduro. So, yeah, that's just that's our situation there. Anyway, let's jump into our super chats. Oh, my goodness. My back hurts so bad. I did deadlifts yesterday, and I really hurt myself. I really hurt myself, ladies and gentlemen, and it's bad. Basically, it's bad. Basically, send me money because I'm going to need surgery so I can get my freaking spine fixed. Spinefish? That's a throwback, Spinefish. You guys remember... Wait, Christine died? What? Christine in Ohio died? Is that real? Dude, no way. Is that actually real? That's not real. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, so about the shooting, in Utah. What did we say at the end of the show? I said, this is probably gang related. Boom, confirmed. That was confirmed. It was a Tongan gang. It was a Tongan gang, and if you look at the wedding, there's literally like they are wrapped in blue bandanas. These guys are Crippin'. They are straight Crippin', and it is no surprise that there was violence outside of this church. It's terrible, and I think there were even some innocent people caught in the crossfire, but it's like, dude, we can't have gang funerals in chapels where guys are drinking. We don't drink in the chapel. We don't do that at all, actually, and there have to be rules. We have to have some decorum about this. But if that, dude, that's so sad. I didn't know Christine passed away. How'd you guys hear about that, man? That sucks. That is actually really sad. Man, you hate to hear it. Rest in peace, Christine. Yeah, Corona Extra in the cultural hall. Like, what the flip are we doing, my guys? Come on. Man, that's really sad. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Christine. Anyway, we'll jump now into the super chats. Maybe we put the glasses back on for the super chats. Final update. Let's put the glasses back on. I actually love these glasses, dude. I'm going to have them on all night. And they make a cool sound. They make like a doo-doo-doo sound when you put them on. That's pretty cool. All right, super chat time. All right. Let me just get everything set up here. Anything new on Twitter? Where were we? Oh, there was a super chat on Rumble. Hey, Krabub. Or Krablub. My bad. Krablub. Krablub. Let's go.
Krablub sent $5 another Kai stream. Goated. After hearing your take on swearing, I've made it my retroactive New Year's resolution to stop swearing.
Krablub, that makes me happy to hear.
07.
Dude, you know how many people are clowning me for that? Hey, expired cum. Expired. What's up, expired? Expired says, when Antifa is saying F you, that's when you know you made it. No, literally. For me, it was like it was pride and joy. Maybe people would be sad about that. For me, it was like, dude, these people know who I am. They know what I stand for enough to be yelling F Kai Schwemmer. These are people protesting in favor of killing babies, and they're yelling F Kai Schwemmer. They're chanting it. There's a widespread chant of F Kai Schwemmer at the Utah State Capitol. My name. That means my name is ringing out through the chambers of the Utah State Legislature. And I'm proud of that, dude. My name is ringing out because I defend the unborn. So, based. Anyway, thank you, Krablub, as well. Says, another Kai stream goated. After hearing your take on swearing, I've made it my retroactive New Year's resolution to stop swearing. Love that. Love the work. Keep it up. 07. I think, hey, thank you, Krablub. I think you're a good example, and I think every single person in this chat, and myself as well. Yo, Asian Mormon showing up. Let's flip and go. Let's flip and go, dude.
Asian Mormon sent $12 retake Salt Lake.
So real. And he sent a banger. Dude, let's go. That's what I hear. Dude, we should figure out a way. We should figure out a way to change whenever Asian Mormon in particular sends a super chat. We should figure out a way to change it so that's what plays. Asian Mormon has sent Asian Mormon, thanks for the super chat. That's me when this is what I hear when Asian Mormon super chats. Huh. Thank you very much. Dude, you guys see that clip? Follow Out of Context kaiclips on Instagram. Total banger account. Total banger account. But yeah, we got to retake Salt Lake, dude. It's bad. We got to drive these people out. We got to drive the money changers from the temple. I really hope that there will be a huge purge as soon as the Salt Lake Temple is finished with construction. I hope that somehow Somehow the Salt Lake Temple needs to be like emitting frequencies that are anti-libtard. We need to put something in the Capitol. Maybe I don't know, like put a bunch of like start buying photos of like happy families, something to just make the living space completely unbearable for the average Salt Lake liberal. Like, I don't know, post photos of people smiling, ban Sunday sales of alcohol, ban sales of alcohol after 4 p.m. and ban them on Sundays. And then somehow just plant a bunch of inspection agents, a bunch of inspectors at every single bar and pub in downtown Salt Lake and get them all to close right as the temple is being built, and then pave and then tear all of them down and make a giant parking lot. Yo, huge. And then make a giant, yo, dude, Asian Mormons got good taste in music. I don't want to glaze this guy too much. I feel like I'm doing a lot of Asian glaze. A lot of Asian glaze here. But holy banger, bro. Holy banger. Anyway, yeah, we just got to do that. We just got to turn it all into a parking structure and then have everybody go to the Salt Lake Temple open house. Get the liberals out of Salt Lake. We just got to do that. It's a big problem. I like this idea of the anti-liberal like frequencies, EMF, electromagnetic frequency. I like that, actually. We got to invest in that. I'll just start filming them on the street. Guys, that's going to be the content. Somebody messaged me that. I'm just going to start running behind them at night. And whenever they turn, I'm going to turn with them. And that's what I'll do in Salt Lake for like months until all of them leave. But anyway, can we get a huge W in the chat? Can we get a huge W in the chat for Asian Mormon? He sent in Nur getraumt von Nena. This is, Nena is a German artist from the 80s. You guys know her from 99 Luftballons, 99 Red Balloons. But this song, Nur getraumt, which is Just Dreamed, sorry. This is, or Just Dreamt. Or Only in My Dreams is another way of translating it to English. This is honestly my favorite song of Nana's, and it's one that not a lot of people listen to, so huge shout out. Which movie is this in? I feel like I saw this. This is in a movie. I swear it's in some movie that I've seen. So good, dude. Nur getraumt, Nana in movies. You know, maybe not. Maybe I'm tweaking. But this is a banger, bro. It's she's saying that she, for like all of today, she was just dreaming of you. Huge. Yeah. So anyway, huge. Yo, can we just get a huge W? What are we gonna do for W? Can we get a huge W in the chat for Asian Mormon? Huh. How about songs in English? Okay, Papa. German is fine. Chill the flip out, okay? Chill the flip out. Oh, you don't know German? Sorry. Sorry. Not my fault. Not my fault you're not trilingual. Sorry about it. But yeah, huge W and a big 07. And a big 07 for our boy Asian Mormon. He really is the financier. They call him the Jeffrey Epstein of the... No, that's a joke. That's a joke. I don't know what it is, though. Have you guys seen that Jeffrey Epstein edit on TikTok? It has no right to go as hard as it does. But it goes so flipping hard. So, anyway. Here's the, where is this? Connecticut AFer sent a super chat as well, who says, where was this energy from the far left when Obama was president? Nowhere. These people are like wind-up toys where the mainstream media and woke academia crank them up and they march. That's real. But it's also the case that it's like, because this was a white woman that got killed, people aren't as up in arms. But I think actually what was pointed out in the chat earlier is I think the best angle here. And ho, Kino's Journey. Banger alert. Thank you, Kino's Journey. Appreciate you. Sounded like Japanese. No, it was German.
$5 Gaddy Antons and Korhers overrunning Salt Lake.
Dude, that's so real, bro. Helaman, dude, Helaman, those chapters. Feeling very vindicated, dude. I gotta reread them, man. Maybe I'm gonna read some of that tonight. Dude, I just realized I can listen to music in my glasses as I read books. And I'm just gonna sit here cozy style, reading my book with my little lamp on. Oh, I have homework to do. I almost forgot about that. That would have been bad. I have homework that's due at midnight. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna cozy post, and I'm gonna sleep, and it's gonna be nice. It's gonna be wonderful, man. I'm gonna get me some Sova, guys. Let me crack into some Sova real quick. Y'all mind if I crack? Pause. Y'all mind if I crack into some Sova? If you don't, it's Sova for you. Got him. Yeah, maybe we will do a Book of Mormon study series. That'd be pretty fun. Dude, it kind of Bateman-esque. These glasses. Yeah, the Gaddy dude, literally, what was it? Transcendental Mormon Mystic posted that video on Instagram and was like, missionaries coming back, seeing the entire society run by Gaddy Anton robbers. So real. You know what's interesting in the Book of Mormon? Nobody ever remembers this. You guys remember Korihor? Okay, we need the physical Book of Mormon. You guys mind if I break the studio real quick? You guys mind if I break the fourth wall? Where's my Book of Mormon? It's all the way up there. I don't want to break the studio this way. Here, let me break the studio on the other side, and we'll do some reading. And we'll do a little bit of reading. But thank you, by the way, again, Kino's Journey and Asian Mormon. Dude, huge super chats. Where is this? Yeah, we'll read about Korihor, because this is actually a very compelling situation. Give me a minute, fellas. I'm gonna break the studio for a sec. Oh my gosh! Don't look at my pants. Don't look at my pants. I swear they're dress pants. I'm not like Brylan Hollyhand. I really love your TikToks, by the way. Keep them up. Hey, thanks, man. I should do more TikToking. That was where I first went viral. But anyway, Chode says, have you ever read the 48 Laws of Power? I have not, because I'm not a Redditor. What are you going to tell me? How to win friends and influence people? Is that the next book you're going to recommend? Machiavelli's The Prince? Is that what you're going to recommend? Just kidding. Those are probably all really good books. I know Machiavelli's The Prince is insightful, and the other books are probably fine too. But it's like any smart person can figure out what the 48 Laws of Power are without reading the books. Like, I already intuitively know that calling people by their name is something that makes them like you and trust you more, and improves their perspective of you. They like hearing their names. Everybody likes hearing their names. So, and supposedly that's one of them, right? Anyway, let's read about Korihor here. Let's read about the situation here that happened, literally. This is pretty crazy. It's pretty based, not gonna lie, actually. Here it is. Okay, so we are in Alma 30, based. There's some based verses in here, dude. We're reading from the Book of Mormon once again. There's a based verse. Alma's responding to Korihor. Korihor is an antichrist. Let me give you a summary. This is the kind of stuff that Korihor, this stupid idiot antichrist, this is what he was saying. He was saying, hey, thank you, Kino's Journey. You said it at a perfect time. It didn't interrupt the reading. We appreciate you. And what does he say?
Kino's Journey sent $5 despite the troubles of the current day. We must not lose hope and strengthen our relationship with God. So
true. Thank you, Kino's Journey. I think I might cut down the length of the super chat audio. It's kind of Kino, but I think I might cut it down. What do you guys think? Because it's a little much, maybe. It might be a little much. Yeah. Anyway, we'll read here. Hey, thank you, though. And you're so right. You have to hope. You must. And there's always hope in Christ, dude. That's the red pill, dude. That's the white pill. There's always hope in Christ. There's some great General Conference talks. Find hope in Christ. When everything seems hopeless, find hope in Christ. That's what you got to do. Anyway, Ted Kaczynski's manifesto is so pretentious, freshman. Not true. Dude, not freaking true. Okay, now you really got me mad. Talking about 48 laws of power, but you're counter-signaling Ted Kaczynski. Ted Kaczynski was actually a genius, actually. He was actually a super genius, and he was a Harvard professor of physics or of mathematics before he was like 20. And his manifesto is actually totally based and has a lot of very important points. So, by the way, the name of the song, the Ling Long, I'm speaking like Asian Mormon. The name of the song is Love and Money by Zaza, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, so this is the kind of stuff that Korihor was saying. He says, "O ye that are bound down under a foolish and a vain hope, why do ye yoke yourself with such foolish things? Why do ye look for a Christ? For no man can know of anything which is to come. Behold, these things which ye call prophecies, which ye say are handed down by the holy prophets, behold, they are foolish traditions of your fathers. How do ye know of their surety? Behold, ye cannot know of things which ye do not see. Therefore ye cannot know that there shall be a Christ. Ye look forward and say that ye see a remission of your sins. But behold, it is the effect of a frenzied mind, and this derangement of your minds comes because of the traditions of your fathers, which lead you away into a belief of things which are not so." So this is the kind of guy that Korihor was. This is the kind of guy that this freaking guy Korihor was. Sucks. And guess what happens? He goes to Jershon, which is funny because they were once Lamanites. These are a bunch of converts. And here it is. "Now this man went over to the land of Jershon also to preach these things among the people of Ammon, who were once the people of the Lamanites. But behold, they were more wise than many of the Nephites, for they took him and bound him and carried him right before Ammon, who was the high priest over the people." That's base, dude. If any MFA comes up to you, starts spitting about, being an antichrist, he starts telling you all of these things are vain imaginations of your fathers and the traditions, and you can't know for a surety that Christ will come, and why do you look forward, and you should eat, drink, and be merry. And it said, "And thus he did preach unto them, leading away the hearts of many, causing them to lift up their heads in wickedness, yea, leading away many women and also men to commit whoredoms, telling them that when a man was dead, that was the end thereof." So yeah, this guy's a whole piece of work. What do these Lamanite converts do? They go, "Oh yeah, we're tying you up and taking you to the high priest. We're not even going to let you talk." Based. That's super based, I'm not going to lie. Anyway, and it came to pass that he caused that he should be carried out of the land, and he came over into the land of Gideon, and began to preach unto them also. And here he did not have much success, for he was taken and bound and carried before the high priest, and also the chief judge over the land. And it came to pass that the high priest said unto him, "Why do ye go about perverting the ways of the Lord? Why do ye teach this people that there shall be no Christ to interrupt their rejoicings? Why do ye speak against all the prophecies of the holy prophets?" So anyway, that was basically what happened. And this is the cool thing, right? This is the cool thing about the Book of Mormon. There's a lot of people who think it's like, oh, this is some, post-1776 Republican garbage. It's actually not. The Nephite society was mostly a theocracy. And there's actually a scholar, an LDS scholar named Richard Bushman, who for some constitutional event researched, because he thought that he would find all of the Constitution and all of these Republican ideas in the Book of Mormon. But when he actually researched the book and when he read it, what he found was that it actually wasn't really at all. They have judges, they have a reign of judges, but the judges then are passed down by lineage. You have kings, you have rulers, and you have a government that is actually not entirely secular. I mean, you need to look no further than what they did with Korihor. Korihor was cast in front of the chief priests and judges, and this is a guy who had committed heresy. So, based. Let's go, Tice. Let's flip and go.
Tice4M sent $5 IDK. If you remember the Institute class I was telling you about a couple months ago, but we talked about this and how the moral relativism from it was a root cause for many of the genocides of the 20th century, like Pol Pot.
Real.
Pretty epic.
Real. I don't know. I think I remember that. What was super cool is I had my first class or my second class of political science, Western heritage of political tradition, or the heritage of Western political tradition. I had my first class today, and the professor assigned a reading that was literally just like anti-scientism and anti-relativism, and it was so based. And you're right, that's exactly what it is. The moral relativism leads to all of this violence. And scientism is a big part of it, right? Science is this unending, it's like what it says in Timothy, people who are always learning but never coming to a knowledge of the truth. They don't believe that there is an objective moral good. They don't believe in such a thing. They don't believe in objective morality. And yet, by affirming that, they can never substantiate the reason they do what they do. Why do you do this unending asking of questions? How is it the case that nobody is true if there is how do you know that all moralities are equal or that none are greater than the other if there is no moral objectivity? They never arrive at a conclusion. They can never answer the reason for their own existence. Scientism produces no answer. And this is why it is this, again, the endless asking of questions, always learning but never coming to a knowledge of the truth, like Paul writes in Timothy. So yeah, very true, very base, Tice. Thanks for the super chat. We love you. Oh, dude, you guys got to see this. Dude, okay. Sorry, guys. I gotta send another thing. Also, Papa Clutch, I appreciate you vetting me. It means a lot that you have done a deep dive and that you have seen that I am not sus. I check out. I mean, this is the thing. It's like, I've been doing politics since 2019, 2020. And the most sus thing anybody's been able to come up with is that I said in an interview with the high school magazine, because I was a really good student and I got an award. I said to the interviewer that when I was a kid, I wanted to be an FBI agent because I watched spy movies. And then in the interview, I actually told them that I didn't want to be one anymore because I thought there were big issues in the FBI and that it was weaponized against the American people. And that, of course, that part doesn't get mentioned in the article. But because of that quote, everybody claims that I'm a Fed. And of course, being LDS and having a disproportionate amount of LDS people in the FBI and the CIA, I understand how it can look fishy, but it's just there's zero actual research that people are putting in. Chris Burnett tried to make that claim. It's ridiculous. So anyway, dude, I didn't grab my Sova. I got to grab that. Maybe I'll grab my Sova as you guys watch this. Alma Korahor video. This is the coolest thing ever. Not to mention, Mormon, who's writing this, looks so freaking cool, dude. They made him so jacked. You guys got to see this. This is like the coolest thing ever. Let me minimize myself, and I'm actually going to go and grab food or just grab my Sova while you guys watch this. But this is the coolest thing ever. Yeah, Kiwi Farms blasted me. Yeah, I mean, dude, Kiwi Farms they don't. It's interesting because they do know how to research, but I feel like with me, dude, Chris Burnett, this is the most retarded thing you'll ever hear. When I came back from my mission, Chris Burnett released his article with the pedophile scandals or whatever. He included that portion where he said that I'm a federal agent. And I asked him on his space, I was like, because he was debating people about it. He was like, if you have questions, come up. And I'm like, okay, quick question for you. Did you do any of your own research or did you just kind of compile what other people said on Twitter? And he said, well, I just compiled most of it. He really didn't do any of his own research. And so I asked him, I didn't even get to ask him about the FBI thing. But he's like, aren't you like a general? Or aren't you a Groiper general? I'm like, dude, do you even know where I've been? I've been living in Argentina. I've been a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for the last 2 years in Mendoza, Argentina. I didn't even have internet. I didn't have a phone with access to social media. What do you think I've been doing? I just got back from that mission. And he said, well, you've been posting clips on Twitter. I'm like, what are you talking about? Clips on Twitter? Is somebody running my account? Is there some news I didn't hear about? Is there an imposter? And so I asked him, I'm like, okay, what do you mean? What account? What are you talking about? I kid you not. Get this. You know what he says to me? He says, yeah, you've been posting from your account, Kaiser Rev. And I just sat back and I was like, my brother in Christ, are we serious right now? And I ask him, I say, Chris, why do you believe that's my Twitter account? What evidence do you have to claim that is my Twitter account? And he said, dude, it literally has your name in it. I'm glad he didn't find out about my other account, Kai Trump. If he would have found out about that, he would have had a lot more to go off of. But unfortunately, he only found out about Kaiser Rev. But that was like, dude, that was the most like stupid thing ever. That shows you the level of research these journalists are doing. He looked at the guy's name, his Twitter handle name, and then saw that the first 3 letters are the same first 3 letters of my name, even though Kaiser is a totally different word. I wish that was my name. I wish my name was Kaiser. If I ever have a kid, I'm going to name him Kaiser for sure. And I'm only having sons, of course. There is a way to guarantee that. Many people don't want you to know that, but it is true. You have to procreate in colder temperatures. Male sperm lives in colder temperatures. Anyway, it's like, dude, seriously. That I came back from my mission, and that was the first interaction that I had with people online. It was one of the first ones. So anyway, hey, guys, Diane Clift, thank you for the super chat. Let's watch this video. I think you guys are going to love it. This is basically what we were just reading from. It's one of the coolest things ever. Not going to lie, this is one of the coolest videos ever. All things to note, there is a God.
It came to pass in the latter end of the 17th year.
This is Mormon.
There came a man into the land of Zarahemla.
This guy's such
he
a
was
Chad.
Antichrist.
Dude, this guy's such a Chad. Look at this guy. Like, look at this guy right now.
Where he began to preach unto the people against the prophecies which had been spoken by the prophets.
Look at his arm. This guy is massive. Oh, dude, I can't improve the quality? Are we serious?
Concerning
anyway.
the coming of Christ.
Is this not insane?
Why do you look for a Christ? For no man can know of anything which is to come. Behold, ye cannot know of things which ye do not see. Therefore ye cannot know that there shall be a Christ. Ye look forward and say ye see a remission of your sins?
And many more
This
such
guy's
things
cringe.
they say unto them, telling
This guy's
them that there
super
could be no
cringe.
atonement made for the sins of men. But every man fared in this life according to the management of the creature.
All right, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to
Every
grab a
man
soda.
prospered according to his genius, and that every man conquered according to his strength. And whatsoever a man did was no crime. And thus he did preach unto them, leading away the hearts of many, causing them to lift up their heads in their wickedness. Yea, leading away many women and also men to commit whoredoms, telling them that when a man was dead, that was the end thereof. And he came over into the land of Gideon, and began to preach unto them also. And here he did not have much success, for he was taken and bound, and carried before the high priest, and also the chief judge over the land.
Why? Why do you go about perverting the ways of the Lord? Why do you teach this people that there shall be no Christ? To interrupt their rejoicings? Why? Why do you speak against all the prophecies of the holy prophets?
Because I do not teach the foolish traditions of your fathers. And because I do not teach this people to bind themselves down under the foolish ordinances and performances which were laid down by ancient priests.
This guy's such a Redditor, dude. He's such a Redditor. Because I did not tie myself down to the traditions of the fathers. It's like, these are like the people who whine because their parents made them go to church on Sunday. Like, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo, you had to go to church on Sunday and be nice to people and obey the 10 Commandments and not have sex before marriage. You were not abused. You were not a part of a cult. You went to church on Sunday with your parents and the freaking bishop gave you candy after sacrament meeting, dude. Anyway.
And authority over them.
This is the OG Redditor.
To keep them in ignorance that they must not lift up their heads.
yeah. I'm glad Chris Burnett didn't find out about my other account, Kai Sinat.
To thy words. Ye say that this people is a free people? Behold, I say they are in bondage. And ye say that these ancient prophecies are true?
By the way.
Behold, I say that ye do not know that they are true. And these people are...
Debunking Korahor, by the way, brought to you by Sova. Brought to you by Sova, Peaches, and Dream. It's like pre-workout, but for the night. So it's a sleep drink. It says right there, it says sleep drink. This is it is a magnesium. What else is that? It has 5 calories. You see in that 5 calories? It's got monk fruit for the sweetness. It is delicious. It's got magnesium glycinate, monk fruit extract, cassava root fiber, L-theanine, natural flamers. I mean, this is like the best stuff there is, dude. And it has a verse on it. It says, "Retire to thy bed early, that you may not be weary. Arise early, that your bodies and your minds may be invigorated." So based. Is it sugar-free? No, it's got sugar from the monk root. But it does not have, if I'm not mistaken, it does not have artificial sweeteners. So anyway.
Guilty and a fallen people because of the transgression of a parent. The old I say that a child is not guilty.
No masa chips? Dude, they sent me some chips and I forgot to say how based and goated they are because I ate all of them. I ate all of the masa chips before I could do like a promotional. To be fair, they didn't ask me to promote it. They just sent me some, but I would have loved to. I mean, they were yummy. They were super yummy chips, dude. I love them. And I feel bad that I never made like a promo video, that I never hyped them up, because I'd so be down to hype them up. Yeah, yo, use code Kai, get some chips.
Parents. And ye also say that Christ shall come. And he shall be slain for the sins of the world. And thus ye lead away this people after the foolish traditions of your fathers, and according to your own desires, and keep them down, even as it were in bondage, that ye may glut yourselves with the labors of their hands. That they durst not look up with boldness, and that they durst not enjoy their rights and privileges. Yea, they durst not make use of that
This
which
guy's
is
so
their own,
cringe.
lest they should offend their priests, who do yoke them according to their desires.
So
and
cringe.
have brought them to believe by their traditions,
Freaking
and their
Redditor.
dreams, and their whims, and their visions, and their pretended mysteries, that they should, if they do not do according to their words, offend some unknown being who they say is God, a being who never has been seen or known, who never
Dude,
was
based. Dude, holy Chad, enough.
unknown being
Hey,
who they
shut the
say is
flip
God,
up, dude.
a being who never has been seen or known, who never was nor ever will be.
Enough.
Now when the
Real.
high priest and chief judge saw the hardness of his heart, yea, when they saw that he would revive
Lift
even
Logic
against
Labs. What's up, Lift Logic Labs?
God, they would not make any reply to his words, but they caused that he should be bound. And they
Let me
delivered
make sure
him
I
up
didn't
into
get a
the
super
hands of
chat
the
while we were gone.
officers and sent him to the land of Zarahemla.
I just realized that
that
I'm
he
not
might be
checking.
brought before Alma and the chief judge who is governor over all the land.
This isn't a long video, by the way.
Why do
okay,
ye
maybe
lead
it's
away
10
this
minutes.
people after the silly traditions of your fathers? Ye keep them down in bondage, that ye may glut yourselves with the labors of their hands, that they durst not look up with boldness, and enjoy their rights and privileges.
Dude, and look at Alma, bro. Alma is such a Chad, dude. Alma is such a... Besides his Canthal tilt... Dude, Unknown Mogger? Who's that Unknown Mogger behind Alma? Holy... Bro, look at the Mogger behind Alma, dude.
Do not
Whoa,
glut
what the...
ourselves on the labors of these people. For behold, I have labored even from the commencement of the reign of judges until now, with mine own hands for my support. Notwithstanding my many travels round about the land to declare the word of God among my people, and notwithstanding my many labors which I have performed in the church, I have never received even so much as one C9 for my labor.
A C9, by the way, is money. It's money.
Now, if we do not receive anything for our labors in the church, what doth it profit us to
Exactly.
labor in the church?
Good point, good point. Good point,
Save it
Alma.
were to declare the truth,
So true, Alma.
we may have rejoicing in the joy of our brother. And why sayest thou that we preach to get gain, when thou of thyself knowest that we receive no gain?
He's also ripped.
Believest thou that we deceive this people, that causes such joy in their hearts?
Yea.
Dude, that was cold line delivery.
Believest thou that there is a God?
Nay.
Will ye deny again that there is a God, and also deny the Christ? For behold, I say unto you, I know there is a God, and also that Christ shall come.
True.
What
This is the Book of Mormon, by the way. It's the Book of Mormon we're watching, by the way. This is from Alma, chapter 30, by the way, if you want to read along.
have ye that there is no God, or that Christ cometh not? I say unto you, ye have none, save your word only. But behold, I have all things as a testimony that these things are true.
Based.
And ye also have all things as a testimony that they are true. And will ye deny them? Believest thou these things are true? I know that thou believest, but thou art possessed with a lying spirit. Ye have put.
Dude, this is what we got to start saying. I'm gonna go up to leftists at protests. I'm gonna be like, will ye deny that there is a God? Yea. Will ye deny again that there is a God and his Christ? I know ye believe, but you are possessed with a lying spirit. That's base, dude. I know you believe. You're possessed with a lying spirit, though.
Put off the spirit.
What a goat, dude. What a
thou art
goat.
Possessed with a lying spirit. Ye have put off the Spirit of God, that it may have no place in you. But the devil has power over you, and he doth carry you about, working devices to destroy the children of God.
Truth.
Thou wilt show unto me a sign, that I may be convinced that there is a God.
Typical
Yea, show
Redditor.
unto me he hath power, and then I will be convinced of the
Dude,
truth.
dude, Alma's like, oh my goodness,
God.
dude.
Yea,
Alma's like, oh my Mormon. Oh my Mormon. Look at this
show unto me
Redditor.
he hath power,
He's like, bro. What a Redditor, dude.
and then I will be convinced of the truth of thy words.
Which Travis do you mean, Left Logic Labs?
Thou hast had signs enough. Will ye tempt your God? The scriptures are laid before thee. All things denote there is a God. Even the earth and all things upon the face of it, and its motion, and also all the planets, which move in their regular form, do witness there is a supreme creator. And yet ye go about leading away the hearts of this people, testifying unto them there is no God. Yet will ye deny against all these witnesses?
Yeah,
Top
I
10
will
actors that weren't acting. So true, dude.
Yet will ye deny against all these witnesses?
I've never talked to Travis, but I'm familiar with his stuff. I don't like that he says swear words, but he's very intelligent. I like his apologetics.
Yea, I will deny unless ye show me a sign.
That's the translation for, source? Huh. Source, please? Source, it was revealed to me. I'm a prophet of God, is what Alma says. I am not. Let me just be clear.
I am grieved because of the hardness of your heart, that you will still resist the spirit of truth, that thy soul shall be destroyed.
True. Real. Sorry, twin. Sorry, twin. Your soul has to be destroyed. Sorry.
Behold.
I don't make the rules.
It is better that thy soul
Yo!
should be
$5
lost.
super chat from Papa Clutch. Papa Clutch says, what are your thoughts on race mixing? Would you procreate with a woman of color? Great show, by the way. Hey, thanks for the compliments, big guy. Me personally, so my overarching value in marriage, in family building, is love. I think love is the ultimate value there. Obviously, it has to be companionate love. It's not this individualistic, self-serving, self-expressive love, but it is companionate, self-sacrificing love. It is not, the individualistic kind of love that we have now, nor is it an institutional love, and nor is it a transactional love. It's a companionate love. That's my overarching moral value. As for me personally, I do have that sense where it's like, I want my kids to look like me. So me personally, no, I don't think I would. And I think that, white people being in such a minority that we are globally, we have a particular responsibility especially those who get married, who have kids, should have as many kids as possible, because we are dying out literally globally. What are we, 16% of the global population? How much of the global population is white? 10 to 15%, or between 10 and 16% by the looks of things. According to the United Nations Population Division, approximately 9.77%. So, yeah, I think white people in particular, myself included, have a responsibility to be sure that we don't die out totally, because that would be very sad. But again, I think the overarching value, like I'm not a person who's in favor, for instance, of like miscegenation laws. But yeah, good question. Appreciate you, big guy. All right, let's keep watching. Korihor getting destroyed.
It is better that thy soul should be lost than that thou shouldest be the means of bringing many souls down to destruction by thy flattering words. Therefore, if ye shall deny again, God shall smite thee that thou shalt become dumb, that thou shalt never open thy mouth anymore, and that thou shalt not deceive this people anymore.
Yeah, you ain't finna find me JD Vancing. I ain't finna JD Vance. They don't call me JD Clips. And they don't call me Kai Vance. They call me Kai Schwimmer. And that means I'm German. Maybe I gotta go to Germany. Maybe that's what I'm called to do. I've had entirely German ancestry for at least 500 years. You know the weight that puts on my shoulders? What if my kid ends up 100% German 500 years back, but half Japanese? That's a joke. That would not happen. Anyway. And also, I've got the rarest eye color.
I do not deny.
You're telling me I'm going to, like, what am I going to take? Am I going to play? Am I going to really run the odds of losing these beautiful? Let me see if I can change this. Hold on, almost. Which ones are going to show my eyes the most? That actually looks, oh no. You think I would ever want to lose these beautiful green eyes? The rarest eyes in the world. Green eyes, rarest eyes in the world. So it's a lot to consider. It's a lot to consider. I also, another thing I would filter for is intelligence. Intelligence is super important. You want to marry somebody who's intelligent. Intelligence is like 60% heritable. IQ is like 60% heritable, if not higher. So, just saying. Just saying. Here, let's keep watching.
I do not deny the existence of a God.
Boom. He's red-pilled. But
I do not believe that there is a God. And I say that ye do not know that there is a God. And except ye show me a sign, so close, I will not believe.
This will I give unto thee for a sign, that thou shalt be struck dumb according to my words. In the name of God, ye shall be struck dumb, that ye shall no more have utterance.
crazy.
And now, when the chief judge saw this, he put forth his hand and wrote unto Korihor, saying, Art thou convinced of the power of God? In whom did ye desire that Alma should show forth his sign? Behold, he has showed unto you a sign. And now, will ye dispute more? And now Korihor put forth his hand and wrote, I know that nothing save it were the power of God could bring this upon me. Yea, And I always
Ian,
knew
I saw
that
your
there was a
message, by the way.
God. But behold, the devil hath deceived me, and he taught me that which I should say. And I taught them insomuch that I verily believed that they were true.
Dude, this honestly, guys, this happens so much. He always knew there was a God, but the devil had control of his heart and taught him the things which he would say. And he said them so much to the point where he believed it was true. That's always what happens, bro. That's always what happens.
And for this cause
Hail
I
as old as
withstood the
time.
truth, even until I have brought this great curse upon me. And it came to pass that they were all convinced of the wickedness of Korihor. Therefore they were all converted again unto the Lord. And Korihor did go about from house to house, begging food for his support, among a people who had separated themselves from the Nephites. And as he went
And there's
forth
Mormon
amongst
the
them,
goat.
behold, he was run upon and trodden down,
And there's Mormon the goat.
even until he was dead.
Yo, guys, we did it.
And thus
We did it,
see
Reddit.
the end of him who perverteth the ways of the Lord.
Not that we
And thus
killed
we see that
Korihor.
The devil will not support his children at the last day,
Banger, by the way.
but doth speedily drag them down to hell.
Banger, by the way. The devil doth not support his children at the final day, but drags them speedily down to hell. That's the message that I wish like the Church of Satan people would hear. The devil is not going to help you in the final day. He will drag you speedily down to hell is actually what's going to happen, actually. So, anyway, I just thought that was epic. I just thought that was super based in epic style. Thank you, Papa Clutch, for the super chat. We'll make sure we didn't miss any on Power Chat. YouTube, we're trying to get integration still. So I don't think there's any super chats there. Yo, Papa Clutch, you sent three $5 super chats. Or am I tweaking? No, I'm tweaking. I thought it showed up that you sent 5 for a minute. Or three $5. Dude, I just hit 20K though on Instagram. We just hit 20K on Instagram. This is huge. This is flipping huge, ladies and gentlemen. Huge moment. 20K on Instagram. I love you guys so much. Huge moments. Cascade liked my, the guy that makes EDM, Cascade. He liked one of my videos about being a member of the church. So, yep, based. All right, let's do a little celebratory post. Hold on. Guys, sorry I'm ruining this. Anyway, hey, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you guys so much for following on Instagram, for the super chats. Thank you, Diane Cliff, for subscribing. Thank you, Tice, for the super chat. Kino's Journey again. Asian Mormon, the GOAT, super chatter of the stream. Thank you so much for the $100 tonight. Huge. Expired, thank you for the $1. Kreblub, thank you for starting us off. Actually, Asian Mormon started us off, but Kreblub, thank you. JD Shipley, thanks for subscribing. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I am Kai Schwemmer, your chipper, jovial, and tuned in host. But unfortunately, for today's episode, and until next time, we are out of time. Thanks so much for being here with us. We'll see you hopefully on let's call it Monday. See you guys later. Adios. Have a great rest of your night. I love you.